Alright guys, happy Easter. My name's Joel. What we're doing today is a full packer brisket. It's about 14 pounds. And what we're going to do is we're going to get it trimmed out, and I'm going to go start the fire, and we'll get it on there and just see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this out, and any of this hard fat, big chunks of fat, isn't going to render down in the cooking process. So we're going to trim that off, and then we're also going to trim off some of this silver skin over here, and this will just help us, during the cooking, and it's not going to be so tough. So any of this thick stuff, you want to get off. You want a nice sharp knife. I got a fillet knife here. I'm just trying to trim some of this stuff off. I know you shouldn't be cutting towards yourself. I shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, none of this is going to taste any good. So we're starting to get to where we want it to look. Trimmed off a little of this fat here. This big chunk of this fat stuff here. You try and get this down to about 1/4 inch. And then this right here is just a big seam of fat. We're going to cut that off, and we're going to square it right up. You're not losing too much meat. It'll look nicer, and it's going to cook more even, and get rid of this big chunk of fat right here. So what I'm doing, I'm cutting off this silver skin right here. We want to try and save as much meat as possible, but we want to be able to get all this other stuff off of here. You don't got to be too crazy. This isn't a restaurant. We're not serving to a bunch of people, but you just want to kind of make her look a little more pretty. So that's nice and flat there. This is the flat. This is the point. So this muscle comes to a point here, and there's a flat, and this is connected by a layer of fat in here. So we're going to flip it over. Okay, here's my top side. Something like this. Just going to cut that right off. You're not going to eat that. You got this other bigger chunk of fat running right along here. We're probably going to trim most of that off, and then we'll get her seasoned up. So we got her trimmed out. Next thing we're going to do is season. I really like this Grill Time steak rub from Kroger. It's heavy salt, there's a lot of salt in it. I just do a little bit of pepper. A lot of people want to go real simple with their brisket rubs, and they just do salt and pepper. Just salt and pepper, just salt and pepper. I like more garlic and all that kind of stuff, so I'm going to do this Grill Time steak rub, some black pepper, and I'm going to do this beef rub also, which has good beef tones to it, and good for color and stuff like that. Now I got the top and the back seasoned. We want to do our sides. So what I do is I sprinkle some of our seasoning onto the board here. All the same stuff that we were just using. We're going to pick our brisket up, and we're going to kind of mop the sides of it with the seasoning, just to make sure we get all the sides nice and tasty here. Just some of that. Okay. We're going to pick this brisket up, dab our sides into it like that. This end, make sure I get all the sides. And you're probably thinking that this is a lot of seasoning, but this is a big chunk of meat, and it's going to cook a long time, so it needs all this seasoning to penetrate deep into there. I'm not one for injecting my brisket. I think I like just doing it just with seasoning, and I'm going to go start up the fire, and we're going to get this thing going. All right, here's what we're cooking on. A little workstation here. What we're going to do is we're going to fill up this fire basket in here with charcoal and wood and get her lit. Alright, so what I'm going to do is we're going to start with a layer of this lump hardwood charcoal. Put that in the bottom. Then we'll put some Kingsford briquettes on top of that. And we're going to mix in some apple wood. So go in there, and then we'll get her lit with this this torch here and get her going. So we got our first bit of charcoal in the basket. That's our lump hardwood charcoal. That's going to light easy. And then we're going to mix in some of this apple wood. Throw a couple chunks of that in there. All right, and then we're going to put our Kingsford on top of that. Alright, so we got our normal Kingsford charcoal on top of that. I'm going to throw another couple pieces of this apple on top. That's a big piece over there. And then we're going to get her lit with a torch. Alright, so what I'm doing is I'm only lighting the one bottom corner because that's where our air intake is going to be in our smoker, and that's going to feed this fire from the bottom up, and it can just raise up and start smoking. Now we're going to take our basket, drop her down into our smoker, making sure, there we go, that our heat is right next to our air intake. And we're going to open up our air intake all the way and then monitor the heat until it gets close, and then we'll bring her back down. And before I forget, there's our heat deflector shield. This is going to go on top so we don't get any direct heat right onto the meat. So our cooking temp for this is going to be about 250. I got it set to 225 right now because at 225 we're going to want to start dialing down our air intake and restricting the airflow so we don't miss our mark. It's a lot easier to get up to heat than it is to get back down if you've gone too far. So I got this set for an alarm to let me know as soon as we're ready to start dialing her back down. Alright, so 225, we're going to start rolling her down. I'm going to cut off my airflow. Almost closed. Reset this. It's 250. And then come back and check on it, and hopefully we're sitting right about there and get this meat on. Put this fat side up. Get her centered up there. And there we go. Hang out for a minute and see what this temp stabilizes at, and check out in about 5 hours. So this is the smoker that we're smoking on today. I just got done building it a couple days ago. It's a little hobby of mine, building these drum smokers. Got all your digital temperatures. This runs into the barrel and gives me my readouts. So that's this is Bluetooth over here, so I could take that inside with me if I wanted to. These temperature gauges are pretty unreliable for the most part. They're kind of just for looks, but at least you know if you have grates here what the temp should be, what grates this this should be here. This is all just made with stuff I found. So the idea behind these are called UDS, ugly drum smokers. And the idea of it is it's really easy. Your charcoal's on the bottom. Your air intake is just how much fuel or air you're feeding to the fire. And then you have your exhaust up here. So to adjust your temperature, you choke down the amount of air that's going into your fire basket, and so once you hit the temperature that you want to be, you choke it down almost closed, and you should be able to sit right there. So it's pretty easy to design. It's really fuel efficient. A basket of charcoal will let me do 20 hours if I wanted to, if I put a full basket in there. So this one's ready to go. This is maiden voyage with a brisket. I did chicken wings last night, and that was the first cook that I did on it, and this is going to be the second. So I decided to go big and do this brisket. So here I sit in front of the smoker, just staring at the temperature. Just kind of what happens on most Sundays. You get like obsessed, I just sit here and stare at the smoker, stare at the temperature. All right, it got pretty windy, so I had to move this over here and turn the lid so the wind wasn't getting into the pipes and I wasn't getting any flare-ups. But it's been a little over 5 hours. Check out this. And she's looking good. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna wrap it in tin foil and then get her back on the smoker. I got the tin foil laid out, a cross pattern, 2 here, 2 this way, because I didn't have the really thick stuff. And now we're gonna put the brisket on there. All right, our brisket's looking good. Got some good color. Now it's time to get her wrapped up. What I'm gonna do, wrap up and around. Kind of get it nice and tight. Both sides. And then we will close up the ends. Alright, we got her all wrapped up nice and tight. Put her back on the smoker. This is also when I'm going to get my probe in. Stick it in the side so I can get an idea what the temperature is. We're going for 200 degrees when I'm going to pull her out. Alright guys, hit 200. Ready to pull this. So here is what we're dealing with here. Here's our brisket. Juicy, soft. It's looking good. What I'm going to do is separate this part, which is the point, from the flat, which is this part. We're going to cube that up, roll it in some sauce, put it in a pan, put it back on the smoker for another 20 minutes or so, and turn that into burnt ends. And then while that's cooking, I'll slice this up into slices and we'll take a look and see how it looks. Okay, so we have the flat separated from the point. Real juicy, real juicy. Okay, I'll start cubing this up. All right, so we got all our burnt ends all cubed up. I'm gonna add some sauce, toss them around in the sauce, get them back on the cooker. We're moving over to the flat. Did one cut so far, it's hard to do it filming and cutting at the same time. You go against the grain. The grain's going this way, go against the grain. Let's show you the final product when I'm done. All right, so here's our slices. You didn't get a real strong smoke ring on this one, but look pretty good. The wobbly, see how it's separating? You can just pull it apart with your hands. So there's our sliced brisket, and we'll go get these burnt ends on. All right, so I got some of this Sweet Baby Ray's, hot and spicy, sweet and spicy. We're gonna put it all over here and get her tossed up. All right, got our burnt ends all tossed up in sauce. Go back on the cooker. Just let those set up for about 15-20 minutes. Here we have finished product, burnt ends, and it's time to go eat it finally. Been a long time. All right, guys, been fun cooking for you today. It's time to eat. Everybody stay healthy. Don't touch your face, and have a happy Easter, guys.